it's raining here in Bangalore and the internet is a bit dicey. So now I have connected to my mobile network. Shouldn't happen again, but the video quality would be slightly low. So I think that's all right. I'll just share my screen again. And yes, so we are at 6:04. Let's wait for other folks to join, just a couple of minutes more. And meanwhile, I just want to play short videos for all our viewers and our guests also. Something that, since last session and between today, little feedback about what NEO is doing from our various stakeholders. So we have here a parent sharing his perspective and a student, and then an academic coordinator. So I'll be playing this for you, short clips. So let's see what they have to say about NEO.
कृष्णा पब्लिक स्कूल में मेरा बेटा 9th क्लास में है, तो मुझे अभी नियो एआई के बारे में पता चला है। इसके बारे में मुझे जानकारी दी गई है। ये कृष्णा पब्लिक स्कूल का एक बहुत बेहतरीन इनिशिएटिव है, और ये इनिशिएटिव टुवर्ड्स इट्स अ वेरी गुड लर्निंग प्लेटफॉर्म एंड इट गिव्स अपॉर्चुनिटी for a student to find out their actual strength and their weakness and their opportunity area, and in future ये आपको अपने करियर पाथ को चूज करने के लिए एक बहुत अच्छा जरिया बनता है। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा इनिशिएटिव बहुत ही ज़्यादा यूजफुल है फॉर ए स्टूडेंट। तो आगे जाकर के जो अपना करियर पाथ चूज करेंगे तो उसके लिए उन्हें किसी तरीके का कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं रहेगा। तो ये एक तरह से बहुत अच्छा है प्लेटफॉर्म है। आई विश KPS a very good luck.
So this was a very, very candid video from one parent on the occasion of a PTM meeting at one of the schools where we are doing pilot. A bit of it was in Hindi, and there was little sound, but that's only because it was very, very natural response that we tried to capture. And we have now one student. This would be in Malayalam, but for those who don't understand Malayalam, I think you would still be able to get the feeling, like the emotion in her eyes and in her body language. So I really love this one, and I want to play and share this with all of you.
ഞാൻ അയ്യ 10th ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന വിദ്യാർത്ഥിയാണ്. ന്യൂ അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് AI ടൂൾ എൻ്റെ പഠനത്തിന് എനിക്ക് ഒരുപാട് ഹെൽപ്ഫുള്ളായി. അതിലെ MCQ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് എൻ്റെ പഠനത്തിന് എന്നെ ഒരുപാട് ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്തത്. അതിനെ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും ആൻസേഴ്സും എന്നെ ഒരുപാട് എൻ്റെ പഠനത്തെ ഒരുപാട് പുരോഗതിക്കായിട്ട് എന്നെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. സ്മാർട്ട് ഫോണിലൂടെ ചെയ്യുന്നതിനോട് തന്നെ എനിക്ക് ഒരുപാട് ലളിതമായി തോന്നി. താങ്ക് യു.
So this is from a small village in Kerala, and people who think that tier 2, tier 3 towns, they will have problem adopting technology. So I think this is a testimony in itself that how fast forward these kids are, and we might be kind of underestimating them. And the last one I will want to play from one of our expert panel member, Mini ma'am from. She's an academic coordinator at one of the schools again in Kerala. So let's see what she has to say.
We could have a connection with the parents, students, teachers association. So that is a main link, main pillars of the society. So through this NEO Assistant app, we are able to connect, interconnect, interdependent, interrelate among the communities in the society. So which is the hour of the day. That is the main point which I just required to tell. The second part of the NEO Assistant AI app is that as the child and the parents go through this, because it's very transparent, crystal clear. So when each topics or each MCQs, when they just go through that, it is so clear and so transparent and dynamic, which is the another important value of the NEO Assistant. That is that clarity, the crystal transparency, because we should be transparent in our transparency in character in our life. So that value I could see from this too. The third is that as the child would actually just attend each worksheet and we go through that, when he sees the scores or as they see so much answer, I'm just able to do that. So that increases his ability, his memory power, his understanding power, as well as the logic power of the topic. So that is another value. And for the teachers, when they just do each worksheet or as they attain the achievements and certificates, every human being require appreciation. So as we get the certificates or as we get this achievement, it boosts our knowledge, our confidence, our energy and dynamic to do the work at the hand.
Yeah, with that, I think we already have about 50 folks and we are past 6566. So let's start. And before we get to what today's session is going to be about, very, very quick recap of the NEP series that we are doing. So in the first session of this series, we had a complete overview of Indian education system, wherein we saw that how it was pre-colonization era, then what reforms were introduced during colonization, what reforms were introduced post, and what the latest NEP 2020 is about. And in the second session, we spoke about the foundational gaps. Like from most the research that we have done, we find that a lot of students, even in their middle and secondary status, they struggle a lot in grasping new concepts that are taught in the class because there are some foundational gaps. So what those good foundation, what does that mean? And what are the most common foundational gaps and how they can be diagnosed, and what can be the ways to kind of bridge those foundational gaps, especially with the help of technology. And in today's session, we would be taking it a notch higher by talking about not just the academic curriculum, but holistic development of a student, what it takes, what are the aspects, and how we can go about it with the help of technology. And we have a great panel, a very strong panel today. Very quickly, today's session plan would be mostly around what role the technology has to play in holistic and multidisciplinary education. What are some of the aspects? What HPC or holistic progress card means, and what the parents, the teachers should be looking at, and what are some prerequisites for it? What is the importance of having an entrepreneurial mindset right from very early childhood? And how storytelling can be a very, very powerful way of imbibing some of these aspects of holistic development in a child. And to grace today's session, we have with us a very eminent guest, Dr. Michelle. We also call it Garuda Das with love. And he is a very renowned professor of religion and philosophy, and has also he has been sharing the knowledge globally, and some of the esteemed universities like University of Harvard, Cambridge, and he is also kind of guiding some of the school trusts in UK, London. So without wasting any further time, I would like to invite our chief guest today and share some of his knowledge nuggets with us around holistic development of a child that also includes the health, well-being, his ethical, overall, the value system, and the spiritual development of a child. So welcome, and thank you so much, sir, for making time today. And over to you. You are on mute, sir.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Great. Thank you. Namaste. And thanks for the opportunity today to be with all of you. Okay. And Shweta, you have my slides, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Sir has put a very nice and elaborated content for our today's session. And I request, it's going to be very, very intense today's session. So I request all the listeners to maybe have a diary and a pen to note down some important points. And yes, sir, over to you.
Okay, great. Okay, so I won't take long, but my title for today, Bhagwat Geeta as a source text for pedagogical modeling. What I'm suggesting here is that a text that's thousands of years old, which is in the form of a dialogue, a teacher-student kind of dialogue presented here, could be a very valuable source for creatively introducing aspects of teaching and learning in our educational systems. It's worked for thousands of years. Why would it not work in the present day for our teaching students at all levels? So, what I'm doing here then is, and that's what you see on this slide is the summary of what I'd be talking about today. So we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to suggest eight different lessons that we could derive from the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna being the model teacher and Arjuna being the model student. And what is this like? What are the different things that we could derive here? And I would hope that each of you would go to the Bhagavad Gita yourselves and derive your own, your own lessons in what the Gita offers in the way of pedagogical modeling. So the first one here, acknowledging the challenge of the human condition in this world. I think sometimes teaching can remain very irrelevant. That what we teach can sometimes appear very irrelevant to students. And I think that bringing in our basic human challenges to students, even at an early age, can be very valuable in making education something that is absorbable and meaningful in a powerful way. Here, the human condition is defined by the Gita, the conflict around us. No one has to look too far in the world to find conflict. It's there all around the place. So certainly children at an early age are aware of conflicts in the world, things happening in the world. So Arjuna's ethical dilemma, precipitated by his outer world conflict in the war that's about to occur. Each student can identify their own struggles, their own battle in their lives, the things that challenge them, and the way that causes us to go inside and think about things at the cognitive level. Arjuna demonstrates confusion in his thinking, cognitive dissonance, to help students understand where these challenges are. And then, of course, the way students may feel about things, as Arjuna experienced a shattered heart, sometimes feelings of hopelessness. Next. So the outer and inner conflict. It's ironic that the first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of hopelessness. So normally yoga is thought of as a very positive thing, and it is. But hopelessness can actually, or challenging situations can actually open up areas of enlightenment for us, areas of understanding. And again, I think it's important for students to understand that conflicts are opportunities, not things that bring us down merely, but they open up opportunities, as Arjuna's conflict opened up opportunities for him. So an irresolvable ethical conflict. This is the way the Bhagavad Gita opens up. Arjuna looks around at the battlefield on the other side. He says, I look upon those about to engage in battle who are assembled here, desiring to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra in battle. Next. At the same time, he says, seeing my own relations, O Krishna, standing nearby ready to fight, my limbs are sinking down and my mouth has become very dry. Also my body trembles and the hairs of my limbs stand on end. So on the one hand, he's ready to fight like a kshatriya. On the other hand, he is just devastated, seeing that he's having to go to war with those whom he respects and loves. Next. So number 2, in teaching, acknowledging and hearing students' challenges. Let them bring up challenges, maybe challenges of interacting with one another, maybe challenges at home, maybe challenges in what they understand is occurring in the world. What are those challenges? What are those things that shatter the heart here, as in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna hears Arjuna speak in 19 verses, expressing his bewildered mind and shattered heart. Only then does Krishna begin to speak to Arjuna. Thus, speaking in the midst of conflict, Arjuna sat upon the seat of the chariot. Casting aside his bow and arrow, his mind was tormented by sorrow. So I think it's important to not just engage knowledge in the education, but to learn how to engage feelings, the way students feel about things, and to be able to articulate those feelings the same way that Arjuna does in 19 verses in the first chapter of the Gita. Then finally, in the second chapter, here in this verse, my very being is afflicted. Whoops, don't go too, no, go back up. Can you go down? Oh, there we go. My very being is afflicted by piteous weakness of spirit. My thoughts on Dharma are bewildered. I ask you, tell me what is definitely better for me. I am your student. Instruct me, for I have offered myself unto you. Next. So Krishna hears Arjuna and offers 7 verses of praise and prayer when fully grasping Krishna's divine identity and his many attributes in the 10th chapter. Next. Krishna hears Arjuna speak in 28 verses, expressing his feelings of an overwhelming reverence following Krishna's show of divine might and splendor in the 18th chapter. So here the student is reacting to what is being presented by the teacher. Okay, the third item that I've gleaned from the Gita, teaching that cultivates the teacher-student relationship external to and within students. Next. So in the Gita, we see all these relationships between Arjuna and Krishna. First, a warrior to a charioteer, friend to a confidant, disciple to a teacher, a yogi to divinity. Next. And then even these 4 different relationships between Krishna and Arjuna as in the different forms of yoga. Next. And we see how the divinity embraces everything, including conflict, in the Vishwarupa form, and everything is contained in the divine, but how to appreciate that. And that is the process through which Arjuna goes. So I think education is about dealing with the reality of things. And I think the teacher brings out the inner teacher within the student. Next. Yes. So it is about the nature of the heart. In fact, if you move it up, at the bottom, it says, the divine is seated in the heart of everyone. Okay, next. And I have fully entered into the hearts of all, Krishna says. The supreme Lord of all beings, Arjuna, is present within the inner region of the heart. So I think the teacher is on the outside, but I think the teacher is ideally cognizant of how to bring out the voice of a teacher within the student itself. Number 4, establishing a dialectical movement between the theoretical and the personal for both teacher and student. So here, Krishna, the teacher, is speaking about himself, as well as everyone on the battlefield. Never truly have I not existed, nor you, nor these kings who protect the people. And never shall any of us ever cease to be, now or forevermore. Next. Just as the embodied, while in this body, passes through childhood, youth, and old age, so also the embodied attains another body. The wise person is not bewildered by this. One who sees the self present in all beings and all beings present within the self, such a person whose self is absorbed in yoga sees the same everywhere. One who sees me everywhere and sees all things in me, to such a person I am never lost, nor is such a person ever lost to me. So you see, the teacher brings out the nature of things that includes the teacher, him or herself. And this makes it, I think, what is being taught very personal, and there is then a kind of partnership that is engendered between teacher and student that I think is very powerful in learning. Number 5, engaging the dialogical dimension of teaching. Next. Next. Oh, there we go. Okay. Those who, having abandoned scriptural injunctions, engage in sacrifice endowed with faith. What indeed is their condition, O Krishna? Is it sattva, rajas, or tamas? So here, the back and forth, question and answer, question and response. And Krishna responds, the faith of the embodied is of three types, arising from one's particular state of being. That of the nature of sattva, or the nature of rajas, or even the nature of tamas. Now hear about this. So then Arjuna asks again, what are these distinctions? Next. And again, there's a response. And then again, back and forth dialogue. Next. Yes. And then, who is the greatest of practitioners of yoga? Arjuna asks here. Next. And then Krishna answers, the one who is most absorbed in yoga has the highest faith. So, at the risk of being a little self-promotional, the front cover of my translation of the Bhagavad Gita is not just decorative, it has didactic value. At the bottom, you can see the horses coming together in conflict. You can see the warriors in the background. And on the left, far left is Arjuna, and then after him, to the right, is Krishna leading the chariot into war. But that's just the bottom frame of the front cover. The whole point of the Gita and the whole point of teaching is to lift the student up to a transcendent level of seeing things, which is represented by the greater arch that you see above the battlefield. And then through the door of the archway, you can see that there are even special teachings. So yes, the outer world of conflict is there, and the inner world of transcendence is represented by the outer arch, and then next. Next.
Just a second.
And then the doorway through the archway is the esoteric teaching of the Gita, the very special secret teaching of love. The innermost world of the Gita is there, the innermost world of the heart. Good. Next. So that's what I'm trying to convey to you today. I'm trying to convey to you today the importance of engaging the teachings of the Gita for deriving inspiring dynamics in teaching. Whether you're using AI, whether you're using simple dialogue and interactive methods with students, I think the Gita can provide for us very inspiring models for a variety of ways of approaching students as teachers. That will be very powerful and very effective. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, sir. I think some of the points are very, very simple and very relatable. For example, when you mentioned that it's more about hearing, but that doesn't happen practically. It's when we actually visit a classroom, especially here in India, it's like teachers have to do all the talking. 60%, 70%, 90% of the time, the teacher has to shout, and a lot of them also start feeling, the throat starts hurting because of talking so much. But that analogy where Krishna was just listening to Arjuna for a long while. So that is something that was, I think, really something that we should kind of go back and pay attention to. And second thing that I really liked was that how the whole thing was in a Q&A format, like question and answer. And
Yes.
I think that's how most of the knowledge or learning happens effectively, right? When you are giving the information and the learner is seeking and not just pushing it, So I think these two were something that I personally resonated very strongly. And our other educators can also probably put in their perspectives in the chat box. While we now shall move to our next thing here, which is so we did a little survey within our own educator community. So we have few WhatsApp groups, and we asked them that where do you think the students need most help currently? And then the options were like the foundational concepts, the current academic curriculum, higher order thinking skills like critical thinking, problem solving, 21st century life skills, say. So there are a lot of things that go in that, like cybersecurity, financial literacy, health and nutrition, considering the urban lifestyle. So since times are changing, the ways also needs to kind of adapt to that. Emotional and social well-being, and social and ethical things. Request everyone to please put yourself on mute. I will have to otherwise do it here manually. That will break the flow. And a lot of our educators voiced that 21st century life skills is something where we really need kind of support. So that is one. And we also did another survey in our parents community, wherein we asked them the similar question. And here also, a lot of parents did vote for modern life skills. At the same time, there were parents who also voted for cognitive skills, which are higher order thinking skills like HOTS. And when asked them that what actually they would need or what is blocking them from, helping their child in supporting him in the holistic development, we found that lack of time to monitor closely, and it's really hard to find that where exactly they need help. These two were the topmost reason. So time crunch and also lack of transparency in the current education and reporting mechanisms. So these things that we found from our own educators and parents community, that is what we will be kind of dealing in today's session. And with hearing this out, and we have been doing this actually for a long while. It's been going on for more than 6 months. And hearing and responding to this voice, we have put together a very comprehensive 21st century life skills catalog, which has very, like we have trimmed down a lot of fluff, but then we have retained some very crucial and essential skills that are required for a child to thrive in post-AI era. And these are some of the skills that these are the ultimate 16 skills that we have finally been able to boil down to. And each skill has multiple modules in it, and every module has multiple lessons in it. I'll just kind of give a quick glimpse to our audience that to what depth we have worked on this. So here you can see skill, and within the skills there are modules, and within the modules there are lessons. And if I scroll down to how many eventually the lessons are, so we have about 1400 lessons. And we recommend that a child takes kind of 5 skills in an academic year. And over 3 years, we can ensure that the child kind of is at least aware of all of these things and can start implementing in his or her daily lives. So some of the things like, the parents and the educators will, I think, resonate very strongly, like professional skills and career planning, business storytelling, self-assessment and career exploration. We'll also be talking about this in a while. Shelly ma'am will be throwing a little more light on it. Goal setting and planning, professional communication, teamwork, collaboration, communication, lateral thinking, creative confidence, problem reframing, systems thinking. These are all to develop the core cognitive skills. Then emotional intelligence, right? So all these things that somehow get missed in the conventional school curriculum. To fill those gaps, we have very carefully crafted this module. So there is also something called Puranic values and wisdom. So a lot of, our scriptures have a lot of information, wisdom that somehow kind of gets lost. So we have also tried to bring that also back and bring some ethical frameworks from our Puranas, leadership lessons, environmental consciousness, something that is relevant in today's kind of world, especially for students. So in this event, I just am taking an opportunity to launch this module, and we'll be kind of sharing the details later. But yes, I think this family, Neo Educators family, is very, very close to our heart. It's almost like, we have been together for so long, and it gives me immense pleasure to bring this work to you today. And with that, let's move to the first sub-theme of today's session, which is the role of technology in this whole holistic and multidisciplinary education that we are talking about. And for that, I would like to invite Ritika, who is Central Technology Integrator at Garuda Das Schools, Mumbai. So over to you, Ritika.
Thank you so much, Shweta. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ritika Tyagi. As Shweta mentioned, I work in Mumbai as a Central Technology Integrator with the Stellar World Schools. I'm going to talk about the role of technology, how it is inevitable, and how it helps in creating a holistic and multidisciplinary approach when it comes to education. Shweta, can you move to the next slide? So as we know, technology is something that you cannot skip now. Either you're completely in or you're completely out. There's nothing which is optional in this current scenario. So when we talk about technology, it has progressed through time. The wheel represents the foundational leap over here in human innovation. When we talk about it, it symbolizes the beginning of technological advancement. And as we know, technology has always driven progress from the simplest tool to now talking about AI to now talking about complex machine. Technology has always helped us. So back in the time when computers had come, people used to feel scared that it is going to take over our job roles and it is not going to support us. What is this thing? But now, if you look at it, even a nursery kid is using technology so beautifully and can draw and can create something on using a computer or a tablet. So energy or technology has bring about a big revolution. Just like electricity, just like energy, there has been a rapid industrialization and widespread use of technology in today's world. It's like a crucial force that helps in various fields, including ours, which is education. So now I don't think as teachers we can imagine our lives without technology. I can't. In fact, even for a simple calculation, now people have started using technology for report card generation, for data handling, for creating creative chart papers and worksheets, everything we have been using technology for that. So this is a new digital era where we have technology, we have digital age. We can use technology to create new things, to create beautiful examples for our students. So here's an example of how you can use technology in making things easier. Shweta, can we move to the next slide? So here's a sample. This is a multidisciplinary question, which is based on a green city project. I'll take us 30 seconds to just read it out. Meera is an urban planner who's working on this project, which is Green City. She wants to make her city more environmentally friendly. She's designing a new circular park that will feature a large central fountain. This park will also have special permeable pavement that will allow rainwater to seep through, reducing surface runoff and replenishing groundwater. So as you can see, this is a case-based study question. This question covers concepts like math, which is mensuration. We have force and pressure from science. We also have certain social studies concept over here, which includes rainfall and other things like environmental impact. Now, if you give a question like this, the student can step into the shoes of Meera, can connect the question or the problem to a real world statement. So it's not something which is just like 20
Just a second. Ritika, just hold on a second. Can I request Abhinaya to please put yourself on mute? Okay, yeah,
So if you look at this example, you are actually connecting all the disciplines together, various concepts together. You are allowing the student to step into this person's shoes, which is Meera, and you are helping the student relate to this project and then think about the questions and then answer them. So there are a lot of life skills that have been involved. At the same time, you're looking at mathematical and scientific questions or the skills that we want the students to focus on. Can we move on to the next slide? Now, when you want to create such questions which look at the holistic development or which look at the multidisciplinary approach, it's important that you keep certain guidelines in the mind. The first one being the relevance and real world connection. I am again and again pressurizing on this word, which is real world, because it's crucial that the students connect with the questions in real life scenario. It's important that the students understand the relevance of learning. Why are they learning it? What are they learning in the class? Because then only it will help foster the deeper understanding and engagement. So if you just teach them about pressure or the SI unit of pressure, they're not going to relate to it. You need to show them real life example to make learning more meaningful. The second point would be clarity. It's important that the questions that you're asking should be clear and to the point. It's important that you do not use a lot of complex wording because that can confuse students and that can detract them from the learning objective. So clarity ensures that the students focus on the skills and the concepts being assessed. So ensure that your questions are to the point when you're framing them. The third one is engaging scenario. It's important to have engaging and interesting scenario to motivate the students. At times, this is something that I have been doing lately in my
Ritika, I think you got muted. You have to unmute yourself, I guess.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I think everyone got muted. So even I got muted. So what I was saying is that it's important to have relevance and real world connection when you're framing your question. It's important that students see the relevance of learning, and then only it can foster deeper understanding and engagement. The second point would be clarity. It's important that when you're framing the questions have to be clear and to the point. If you have a lot of complex wording in your question, the students are going to be confused. They are going to be detracted from the learning objective. So whenever you're framing questions, make sure they're clear, they're to the point. The third one is engaging scenario. So this is something that I have started using in my lessons a lot lately. I have been trying to relate the questions to the new movie characters or to the book characters that students like to read. So just imagine a mathematical question in a Batman world, in a Gothic world. So students love to solve those questions. It also helps them to capture their imagination and curiosity, which further stimulates critical thinking and problem solving as well, like Shweta was talking about. The next point is reflection and metacognition. It is important that you incorporate elements that encourage students to reflect on the learning outcome, like how we teachers plan the learning outcomes. What are we going to teach? How we are going to teach it? We also have teacher reflection. In the similar way, I would really request all the teachers to plan student reflection as well. We want them to think about the problems that they have in front of them, about the strategies that they're going to use. We want them to reflect and self-assess. So that is an important aspect. And last but not the least, it has to be aligned with the curriculum standard. Whatever questions you're framing, whether it's multidisciplinary or holistic, it's important that it is aligned with the curriculum standard, because then only we can ensure the assessments that we are providing are purposeful, they are linked to a learning outcome that the educators are trying to achieve. Can we move on to the next slide? So here's a quick screen recording where Neo AI can help you generate such questions. Because if you tell me to generate a question like this, I would take a lot of time personally. But now that you have AI, you can use Neo AI to generate these questions like a cakewalk. All you have to do is you have to think about the subject, you have to think about the chapters, you have to think about the specific concept in that chapter. So for example, over here, I have chosen mathematics and science. Now, when I chose mathematics and science, Neo AI gave me different chapters in mathematics, like rational numbers. I wanted to select data handling as well. So I'm going to select that data handling. In science, again, there are different chapters that Neo AI has provided. So in science, now I'm going to look at different chapters which are there. Let's say if I want to go ahead with one of them, which is crop production and management, I've selected 2 topics from math, 1 topic from science. And now after selecting the topics, Neo AI is going to give me an opportunity to select the scenario as well, the real world scenario. Do you want it to be related to, let's say, a designer? Do you want it to be related to a lawyer? Do you want it to be related to an environmentalist? So let's say if I select environmentalist over here, I have given the role of the question as well. So students have now to now step into the role of an environmentalist, and then they have to think of about that question and then answer it. So once you have selected all these elements of the question, Neo AI is going to develop the questions for you. It's going to generate the answers, the questions, the explanation, the hint, and it becomes so easy. Trust me, in a few minutes, you have the entire multidisciplinary approach, the holistic approach that we have been talking about. And not just this, Neo AI also provides you an opportunity to create different types of case study. So you can have different types of case study where, because I know in a class, you don't have students of each learning, like same learning level. You have students who are at different learning levels when it comes to math and science, especially. So you can design case study questions for them as per their learning level, keeping in mind the real world scenario. So for example, this one is a case study where you have the Harmony Arena, which talks about Ravi, who is an architect, and he wants to design an open air amphitheater for a musical festival. If you move on to the next example, then you have a different case study which talks about the same concept of calculating the surface area, of calculating the force, but it is based on the aqua stadium. The level of the questions are also going to vary. So at times you can have questions which are related for students who are at the higher end of mathematical skills and scientific skills. At the same time, you might be having students who are average in those concepts. So you can personalize the questions for the students using the magic of Neo AI. If you move on to the next slide, then this is another example of the runway revolution, which is a case study again. Here also the student is supposed to calculate the area. So the student is supposed to calculate the force exerted by the rotating platform. So as you can see, They can actually step into the shoes of the question and then answer it. And also the research suggests that technology-led personalization can boost student performance by up to 40%, which, let's say if there are no computers in the classroom, no technology in the classroom, and if I have to design those case study questions one by one for each and every student, I would take, I think, months to create that. And then to check the answers and then to be able to provide explanation and the hint, it's going to be very difficult. So it's important to bring personalization, but how do we bring personalization in our lessons? That's something that Neo AI can help you with. So Shweta and her friends have launched something called as Neo AI 360-degree learning contest. This is something that Shweta is going to tell you in details, but just to give you a brief, it is a holistic baselining to understand every student's unique strength and suitable career option. So you understand where your student is good at and what are the areas where your student needs more support, and then you can suggest them different career options. It is also a 360-degree profiling of the students, which helps us to create hyper-personalized learning experience after identifying their strengths and their weaknesses. So that's it. Shweta, would you like to continue from here?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Ritika. So Ritika is one of those a few people who like immediately kind of understood that what I was talking about and what I want to talk about way back. I think we connected, I think 4 months back, right? So here we spoke about personalization and how it can boost a student's performance, engagement. Obviously, if I'm a student who loves music and if I'm getting questions that are with music context, I'm more likely to be involved, right? So, but how to bring about that personalization, this 360-degree learning context is all about that. So it kind of does a complete profiling of the student wherein they get few mini quizzes on a lot of a diverse set of topics. So in that, their foundation FNL module is covered, their foundational numeracy and literacy, then their current academic curriculum is of course covered. But apart from that, the prerequisites for their current curriculum, like the concepts which they need to kind of, build on for the current curriculum, that concepts are also covered from previous grades. So for example, if a grade 10 student is there, so for that student, some grade 8 or grade 6 concepts might also be covered, which are required for him to understand the grade 10 concepts. And then the whole there are a whole lot of competency-based questions to understand the competency, the core cognitive skills of the students. Then there are life skill modules that you saw that we just launched in this session. So those questions will also go the 21st century life skills. And then the questions around emotional and social well-being question of the student. So I'll be sharing a little more about that without digressing too much into this learning contest. Let's move to the next sub-theme for today, which is Holistic Progress Card. And for that, I would like to invite Shelly Mishra ma'am, who's Vice Principal at Adani Vidya Mandir, and she's also doing some deep work on this specific topic, Holistic Progress Card. So I think she's a very, very relevant person, maybe one of the most relevant person in the country to talk about this topic. And we all have the opportunity to listen from her. So thank you, ma'am, for being with us, and over to you.
Hello, Shweta. Thank you so much for sharing this. And frankly speaking, if I'm talking, we are working since long. And this is the correct platform where what was the purpose of my introduction is already been introduced by the Mr. Graham. I just wanted, this is something we call the telepathy.
Right.
See, actually, I just wanted to
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Actually, I just wanted to know from the audience, you can even put up on the chat that is holistic report card or holistic progress card is new for the Indian society. Just take 30 seconds and quickly answer this question.
Holistic progress card for Indian society.
Holistic approach. Holistic approach, which is being inculcated in the progress card, is it new for the Indian society?
Shelly ma'am, I muted you by mistake. I was muting some other person. Please
No
unmute.
issues, no issues. Yes, I think Palak ma'am has mentioned about no. Can you emphasize from where this concept has come? Indians are not so outdated. I just wanted to take it up. Just put up on the chat box rather than raising the hand.
Yeah, you can just say yes, no, simple, a simple yes and no. What do you think?
Long time, sir. Can you emphasize? No, it's not new. See, simple why I have mentioned about the Mr. Graham. If you remember, he talked about the Gita. Actually, the holistic development, if we see, it is somewhere from the Mahabharata side. We are having Pandavas with the 5 different skills, 5 different reasoning, and technically what exactly is there, what we are implementing now with the holistic. They are talking about the learner-centric. Absolutely. Gurukula is the one best example for this. So holistic report card, recently I visited with the CBSE national conference, and where the teachers were telling it is 16-page report card and it will time consuming. It is increasing the burden. Why are we talking about the teachers? We should know about it is with the learner centric. And when we are emphasizing on the all dimensions of the learners, definitely it will be a very easy task for us. So holistic development, if I'm talking about Pandavas, if you will see, all 5 brothers were having their different skills. All 5 brothers were having their different learning style. All 5 brothers were having their different decision making. All 5 brothers were having the different value system. This is what exactly we are implementing right now. So what exactly the holistic progress card? If I'm talking about, we all have seen the report card in the Parak, because CBSE is still launched only the foundational level. Parak actually launched the 16-page report card for the different levels. What exactly the Parak? Why the Parak came in the existence? I'm taking this opportunity to, introduce that particular term. This is the performance assessment review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. This cell actually being set up to set a standard for the assessment and the guideline. So they are only giving us the assessment and the guideline, and the different boards according to their requirements, because India is a very diverse country. India is having different boards. So all boards will actually collect those points and they will develop their own holistic progress card. For a holistic progress card is required. The fact is very clear, because the performance is never static. It is a continuous process. If I'm talking about myself, my persona is very different. If I've been judged on the same parameter on the different people, then definitely it will not be justice with me. So what is the objective behind this holistic progress card, which Shweta is anyways going to launch the contest on this, which is the 360 degree, which Ms. Ritika rightly said. What does it mean by 360 degree? If I'm asking, largely the people talk about, because it is coming from the student, it is coming from the peer, it is coming from the teacher, it is coming from the parent. That is why it is 360. Is this 360? No, it is not 360. This is something 360 dimension of the whole personality of the child. And the parent is getting the report from the beginning to the years learning, the development of the child. So what is the objective behind it? There are the major objective. I am again and again telling that is the learner centric. Another one is the status of the foundation of literacy and numeracy skill, which is an important part of any individual to know about. Another one, uniqueness of the learner. You cannot tag now anyone. Every individual is having some talent and which has to be assessed. That is coming. Individual child's progress review over years. What is my beginning? It is simply we call in our curriculum framework as a portfolio. The journey from where we have started and journey where we have reached after a certain period of time. This is something being incorporated in this. And the most important objective, child's own review for the self and the teacher's assessment. This will give the holistic development. What exactly include in this? We know there are the many goals, but the 3 major goals are there, which is the health and well-being, effective communication, and involved learners, which are basically coming over here. Now, if I'm talking about the goals, how these goals are different from our current goals, our current teaching scenario, because it is focused on the regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment. The teachers are not only generating the question paper, correcting the question paper, doing the PTM, and just moving in the next segment. It is not like this. We are basically analyzing the child in different aspects. Whether we are talking about the problem solving, whether we are talking about the competency-based learning, whether we are talking about the analytical thinking. And technically, if I'm talking about, we all have read about the multiple intelligence. Somewhere you will find that all aspects somewhere connected over here. Recently, Shweta in this session only shown us the one Excel sheet. In this Excel sheet, if you connect, all these parameters are coming. Technically, if you will find, the whole globe is working with this. Every country is working with this, but we are just tagging them with the different names. Ultimate goal is every country wants the development. They want the balanced youth who can actually contribute for the development of any nation and any economy. Ultimately, that is why we are talking about the numeracy skill over here. And the communication anyway is very important. Now, when I am talking about the process is very simple. It is defined into 3 major parts, which is about the self-assessment, peer assessment, teacher assessment. These are the major part is coming, and the 4th part, which will be incorporated in the parents assessment. So that the parent involvement will be also very important to know about the child. Right now, this is the common problem from the teachers' fraternity, which I recently interacted. They always said the crows are everywhere black. The parents said that it is the responsibility of school. They don't want to put efforts. There's a different thing. If you are talking to the parents, the teachers are not teaching. They are only rushing to complete the syllabus. They are not understanding what are the learning gaps of the students. So probably the transformation, what we are having through the NEP 2020 will resolve all these conflicts. We all will come on the same platform, and ultimately we all will work for the learner's development. Now, if I am talking about the scope of the other way of assessment, because as I said that there will be summative assessment, definitely this will be the one of the part, but we will have the scope of the alternative assessments also. But the quantitative and qualitative aspects, every aspect will be the part of this development. If in short, I tell you about it before taking my last topic, it can be the assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and the assessment of learning, which is covering all domain, and they all are interlinked. So it will be the complete transformation. And the last point, which is my today's session, I'm going to take about is the indicators. What are the indicators? We are attending multiple workshops on the holistic progress report card and how to assess. There are so many other products are available in the market. Those are claiming that we are developing as the CBSE, whereas I am just sharing that CBSE, again sharing, CBSE has just released right now the foundational report card. Rest other 3 levels are still pending and they are working on it, which I am authentically can share because recently we interacted with them. What are the parameters? Definitely very first parameter in any system, we are tagging that Indian traditional system. It is not Indian traditional system across the globe. Everybody is having one principal parameter, which is the scholastic area. Scholastic area where we are assessing the academic performance. Academic performance is about the test, assessments, conceptual understanding, application of knowledge, where we specifically mention about competency-based question. The previous session, Ritika ma'am very effectively emphasized on this. We are talking about the competency-based question, testing of the higher order thinking, critical thinking. So all will be the part of this. Second aspect, which is coming over here, co-scholastic area. Co-scholastic area, that jamana has gone, where we used to listen about padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab, kheloge, koodoge, banoge kharab. Now here, kheloge, koodoge, to banoge nawab. Because the child should have every skill for the survivor, as a survivor. So if I'm talking about the scholastic area, every school is having the art education. Art integration is the integral part of the NEP. And recently, I published a research paper on the art integration only. Art integration, if I'm talking about, it is not only about the performing art. It is not about the visual art. Art integration, art education is collaborating with the languages, with the science, with the social science, which is actually giving the scope for the different learning parameters which students are having. We are not categorizing them only based on the marks, which we said, talk about the stratification of the understanding. This is for everyone. Physical education, which is also there. CBSE also included about the sports integration for the subjects. And the last most important thing, which I liked in the previous Shweta's discussion also, value,
that.
value education. Value education will be the integral part over here. Third one, Shweta again emphasized in the introduction, which is the 21st century skills. This will be the major part of this. Where again and again, I think third time I am repeating in my session only, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Every child should have the communication skill so that it can be expressed. That is the major difference between the ape and us. We are originated from the apes. Biology student, I can correlate. It is the Gaganpreet ma'am. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So if I'm talking about the communication skill, just simple example I'm trying to give. We are evolved from the apes. Mentors add in 30 seconds. Monkey to human evolution, very beautifully emphasized. But we are superior over here because we can communicate. And when human is getting genetically this feature, so why we are categorizing into the different domain? I am introvert. I cannot communicate with the people. Basic skill genetically every human has got. So no child in the coming generation should be behind to communicate or express itself. So this is coming in the 21st century skill. Fifth most important part, which is now the compulsory portion by all the boards available in the India or across the world, is about the life skill. Life skill is not only about talking about the psychologically and emotional balance situation. This is coming with the decision making. This is coming with the problem solving skill. And this is last most important thing is the self-management skill, which is basically providing the balanced individual. This is the one, another category over here. The next part which is coming over here, personal and social qualities. What is the personal and social qualities? I am outspoken. I can talk with anyone. But I guess everybody can talk with anyone. The child take birth. So the child is communicating with the multiple people. Nobody is giving the tuition for the regional language. Nobody is giving the tuition for emotions. The child is learning it by the surrounding. So when the child is growing up, when the child is entering in the adolescence, why all these things get changed? So to emphasize on this, emotional well-being, social responsibilities, and leadership qualities. If I'm talking about the social responsibility, definitely be generous, be humble. All these criteria are there. But nowadays, across the globe, we all are following SDGs. Don't you think SDGs are the part of the social responsibility? This is absolutely precisely the part of social responsibility. We are making our students responsible for the environment. We are making responsible for the infrastructure. We are making responsible for the social problems. So all these parts, that is why now you can find many schools I have visited and I interacted. They said we incorporate SDGs and our curriculum mapping. What is the purpose behind it? Because we want to develop the personal and social qualities in our student. Next, which is coming over here, that is about the well-being and mental health. This is the 6th point where we are talking about the resilience, where we are talking about the mindfulness. And the most important part, one part of the assessment is the peer learning. This is possible because when we are having the healthy mental health, otherwise there will be the conflicts and the outcome will not what is actually required with the task. That was actually shown in the case studies, which recently we have seen in this session only. The case study is basically emphasizing the child should interpret himself or herself in that scenario, think about it, and then respond to the question. Nothing mugged up thing, nowhere the formulas which are already registered in the mind. The generation has gone where on our study table, there is the 100 formulas we are putting and we are just every day reading out, and after 21st day, some formulas will be imprinted in our mind. We should learn how to implement those formula in that particular situation. So that is basically coming with our balanced mental health so that we can fit ourselves in the different conditions which are being asked. The last most important thing, parents are having different questions to the school. Why the school is having so many activities? Why the CBSE is having so many activities? Why can't they emphasize only on the academics? My child to be the only doctor, my child to be only the interior designer. They have to crack only the competition. My child will not participate in any activity. It is actually making that development off. Reason? The child is not being branched himself, explored himself for the holistic development. So now, when I'm talking about the holistic development here, the last segment which I'm taking over here, participation in the school programs. Every school is having their own calendar. CBSE has also proposed their own calendar. If you see the purpose of these calendar, they are putting the exercises, they are putting the activities. We are putting various activities in the inter-house competitions, or our students are participating in the inter-school competition, even cross-country competitions. It is basically providing the extracurricular activities, school representations, where the child is getting chance to adapt into the new environment, to think beyond the textbooks, present itself confidently, and put themselves the best. Nobody is participating in any competition to lose. Trust me. The best one is winning. So the child is preparing for that. This is actually the holistic report card. If you will see the parameters, you are judging only on the basis of this. And there will be no personalization. I don't know how many of you have seen the foundational report card. I don't know how many of you visited the NCERT website. And thank you so much, Shweta. The parameters are there on the screen. Do you think you need to create the question paper for that? It is increasing the burden for the student. If I'm talking about the skill, which is the foundation literacy, if I'm not wrong, the first one is the recognizing simple words.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
I didn't take my specs. Shweta, you may help me. And I apologize. The middle-age syndrome I do have eyesight problem. So for this, if you will find all these things, do they actually need, we do have to test for that? Reading long sentences, reading comprehension, all these things, I think we all learned from that. My English teacher was very good. She was just making us stand and speak and just giving some words, and she was evaluating us based on that. We don't need the page of paper. We don't want to spend half an hour for the child. नहीं तुम अभी लिखो, अभी करो, हम तुम्हें अभी जज करेंगे. Similarly, foundation, numeracy, place values, we all know. If we don't know the place value, can we use the currency? Simple question I'm asking. Nothing will happen. We all will get kangal. So this is something which is not only related to the class till class 5. Place value is the practical implementation of the whole life. Any calculation couldn't possible without that. The second one is coming over the fractions and decimals. Everywhere in our house also. Simple thing. Right now, Amazon mega sale is going on. Decimal value actually playing with our mental, psychological, consumer aspect. They simply write 699.9. It is lesser than 700. We go for that. Isn't it?
Very good example, ma'am.
We all are right now. I see in my society, Amazon people are just getting in or out. And you will see the place value game they are playing. Any market, any sale you can find. So it is not related only till the school. This is the practical life application. And we all are the victims of that, which the commercial world is playing with us. The another one which is coming over here, addition, subtraction, multiplication, even the literacy is not required for that. My maid is only 5th grader. And she is having good practitioner of all these things in his personal life. This is all application. So we are just judging them on this length, width, time, capacity, day-to-day life, basic shapes. All these things, the teacher's humble request. I am just making my session end with this. If I'm talking about the holistic development, it will not only make learning more joyful process, it will nurture innate talent and develop skills in the youth. And lastly, this is not the reformation of education system of India, only transformation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelly ma'am. You so beautifully explained all the aspects of holistic progress card. And I would take this opportunity to quickly showcase the holistic progress card that comes after taking this holistic learning contest that we are running for some of the pilot schools. So what you just saw on the screen is just one part of that HPC that we are working on, which is foundational literacy and numeracy. Like that, we have an academic foundation segment in which the grade-wise mastery of the required concepts is made available for the students. So this is for grade 10th student. So for that student, we will tell him ki grade 9, 8, 7, and 6, the required concepts, how strong he is in those required concepts, right? And then there are core competencies as per the CBSE curriculum: memory, comprehension, application, analysis, evaluation as per the Bloom's taxonomy. And then there are future ready skills as well, the 21st century life skills that we just saw the module, wherein communication, critical thinking, digital literacy, problem solving. There are just 4 of these here, but the module is like more comprehensive. And then finally, there are these behavioral traits, social and emotional traits of the student, which is not something good and bad. It's just for the self-awareness of the student. So every student discover his or her unique traits and they can play on their strengths. And we also give one section for parents. We know that parents want to support their child's education. It's just that they don't have clarity, or the system is not very transparent that how they should support. So for that also, we have put a section wherein we give actionable insights for parents, that what they can do to best to nurture their child in the best possible way. So this kind of holistic reports, right now we are doing some pilot with few schools where we are running this contest. They get 8 mini quizzes over 2 to 3 weeks in a story format. So even if they don't know the concepts beforehand, they get to learn while taking the quizzes. So they are all case-based questions. They read the case and then they answer. And then this kind of holistic report is provided to them. So like Shelly ma'am was just saying, there is a scholastic, and then there is co-scholastic, and then there are competencies, there are AI insight, there are areas of improvement, and they can see all of it live also as and when they are attempting the quiz in their app as well, wherein they see this NPQ Neo proficiency score, and then their academic skills, life skills, cognitive skills, and they can drill down as well. They can tap on any of those, and then they can see that how it kind of, how they're faring in each aspect of academic or something. So not taking much time here, I'd like to now move on to another theme for today, which is, I know this will be very short, okay? We'll be spending less time here, but I think this is very, very important because India as an economy, right? If you are observing the macro economies, right? Because of AI, earlier India used to be a service segment, right? A lot of our people are serving IT companies of outside, and that's how we're making money. But now with the AI, firing is happening at larger scale in all these MNCs, and for the economy to sustain, we need micropreneurs. We need that entrepreneurship mindset to evolve in our school generation that is going to be the future of this country. And that is why this is very, very important. And all the life skills, academics, cognitive skills, your digital literacy, everything is going to kind of converge and finally make the child, prepare the child for this entrepreneurial journey. So for this, I would like to invite Dr. Deepak Satpuje, who's also a very, very relevant person to speak on this topic. He has been attending a lot of not just national, but international conferences on entrepreneurship. He recently was in Tashkent, and I'll just invite him to share insights from his end. So over to you, Deepak, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Shweta ma'am. It's my pleasure that I'm giving inputs on entrepreneurship and everything related to that of the secondary school. As we all know, the normal pattern 10 plus 2 plus 3 has been now changed 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And if we start to compare about the entrepreneurship, vocational education, then the technology education, whatever the holistic approach that we intend to give for the development of the student, that is very important. Earlier educators, Ritika ma'am, Mishra ma'am, and all others gave the very good insight related to the various competencies as well as the skills required for the real life problems. So when we talk about the entrepreneurship, it is very important that we need to know, and as a teacher and also as a parent, we have to know about the 3 pillars, and that is specifically with the skill education, vocational education, and entrepreneurship education. According to new national education policy, now entrepreneurship education has been started from the standard 6th instead of the standard 9th. And this is the major development, because putting the social emotional learning with also the getting aspect of the entrepreneurial learning is very important as far as the entrepreneurial mindset is required. And because of that, the very few models are coming in the picture, which relates with the computational thinking, as earlier told by the critical thinking and all these aspects. Because ICT entrepreneurship is very important as far as the upskilling and upgrading is required. If we talk about the secondary school, foundational school, middle school, then adult tinkering incubation labs are very much important ecosystem that has been set in the Indian schools. And these adult tinkering incubation labs are doing the ideation of the entrepreneurial things at the school level. And if we see not only on the international level, but in the Indian context, 14-year-old, 15-year-old students have started their entrepreneurships in a different way. And few examples are coming up so dominantly because of the ideation lab processes that took place in adult tinkering and incubation labs. So it is not only changing the entrepreneurial mindset, but also it changed the whole spectrum of the skill education, competency, vocational education, and the entrepreneurship education. I want to add one more point to this, and that is entrepreneurship education is not only related with the word entrepreneurship, but technology plus entrepreneurship is coming techno entrepreneurship. Agriculture plus entrepreneurship is coming up with the agri entrepreneurship. Arts education and entrepreneurship is coming up with the art entrepreneurship. Environmental aspects are coming with the nowadays with the green entrepreneurship. And if we see at the international level, as told by the earlier educator, Ritika ma'am, the sustainable development goals are aligning with the present system of education. And such all these type of entrepreneurial ways are coming up with the holistic development of the student. So at this point of juncture, teacher needs to change, because entrepreneurship teaching, entrepreneurship trainer, and entrepreneurship educator, these three are the different entities, and those are doing the critical role in the present system of education. So as a teacher, I have to know the understanding of the entrepreneurial educator, entrepreneurship trainer, as well as the expertise that I am brought in with the incubation of the various entrepreneurial ideas, and those are starting with the standard 6th, which needs to be supported with the vocational education, because vocational education not only gives you a competency, but it also gives you a specific skill, and that is applied with the holistic approach. One more point that I want to give, because related to the entrepreneurship, the educational system is now thinking about the interdisciplinary education, multidisciplinary education, and transdisciplinary education. These are not only the words, but the whole treatment that we are putting in the class for interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and transdisciplinary as a part of holistic approach is subjected to change. So I think the purpose for which I am giving the inputs related to the entrepreneurship is to look upon the changing scenario of delivery of the contents from project-based learning to the inquiry-based learning. And also, it is starting with the Bloom's taxonomy and the digital pedagogy that is coming in for the purpose of the various aspects of teaching learning process for the development of skill among the students. So if with this approach, if we are putting all these things in the classroom and out of the classroom for real world problems, I think the purpose for which I am giving the contents are supposed to be the useful for the educator as well as for the community of the student level candidates for the development of their life. So I think I have completed my contents within the predefined time given to me. Thank you, Shweta madam, for interacting with all others. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Deepak sir. Audience, I know we are overshooting the time a little bit. We have just one more expert with us today. a very, very informed person on the storytelling format of teaching. So we will have Venkatesh to share his insights quickly in about 5 minutes, and then we will conclude and wrap our today's session. So over to you, Venkatesh. Please go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I'm very happy to be amongst all of you educators from all over the country, and I'm really glad that we have all come together with a great mission in front of us, and we are trying together to do something. I'm just checking. Am I audible clearly? Everything is okay? Yes,
Yeah.
fine. Dear educators, I just have 4 slides, and I'll finish that in 5 minutes. First of all, we are very happy that we have. With us Google Educator group connected with Pune and Satara. So these 2 places, Pune and Satara, has a great personality associated with it, and that is Shivaji Maharaj. He's an unforgettable hero. I've been in Pune for quite some time earlier, and I know how much energy the people carry and the respect and reverence they have for him. Of course, the reasons are very obvious, that he was a leader beyond all imagination. The caliber he had, the strategic thinking, the conviction he had, courage, consideration, maturity. These traits were found in him from the beginning, and therefore he has left we can say a mark which has been untouched in the human history, or rather in India's history, in that sense. So first of all, if we see, okay, fine, because we are teachers, we may think that, okay, I mean, back then there was no Harvard or any such college which can train you in leadership and management. So who trained him? So ultimately it was his own mother. It was Jijabai, Rajmata Jijabai. So how did she train him? It was by just stories from Ramayana and Mahabharata. So she was his early childhood trainer, and at the fort, she was training him in all these stories. So that is why I'm saying that power of stories are not to be underestimated. So now I'll just tell you a story which was real. It just happened this morning. So then I'll have some questions after the story. So please listen to the story carefully. So this morning at around 9 a.m., I was here in our temple
Venkatesh,
here.
I think you can shift
Yeah.
the camera a little bit. You are only half
Oh,
face is
okay,
coming.
fine. All right. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yes. So today around 9 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting here in the temple at Mayapur. This is the international headquarters of ISKCON. More than 30,000 visitors come here every day, almost more so on weekends. I was sitting, and then somehow there was this elderly gentleman. This is just a photograph I picked up, but then it is something like that. On the right, you have one more or less a middle-aged gentleman. He was just walking out of the temple, but immediately the security guard, he was more than 20 years of experience, senior security guard, he just came to him and he just fell flat on his feet. And I was wondering what may be the reason, but then they were all smiling. That was another thing. The security guard, he was just falling at his feet, and then he was surprised a little bit. Of course, they are both Bengali, so they understand each other, they know the culture. And then the security guard ran away, and this elderly man, he also ran behind him. And then he also fell flat on him. So then my question is, what do you understand from this story? Particularly, what could be the reason for the actions? I mean, if you can just tell it out loud, or you can put it on the chat, any one of them. I can see the chat also. If you can put it on the chat, that is also fine. What could be the reason? Why are they falling at each other's feet? Any reason? You can unmute and tell, or maybe put it on the chat. Oh.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'll go ahead and take a shot.
Yes.
It might be that they knew each other from before and they saw each other after a long while, and
Yes. Yes.
respect.
Here. Yes. Thank you. Here on the chat also, I see Mamta, Joseph, Lobo, Solani. They're all talking about
That is
respect. They
culture.
were following. There is culture. Thank you for those answers. And Shweta, you are also correct. Actually, my estimation is that something happened there inside. I mean, maybe there was some kind of a confusion or something, and then maybe the elderly gentleman was slightly disturbed. But then the guard, because he is mature, good culture, he immediately came and fell flat at his feet. In Bengal, that is a culture. I clearly observed that from many years now. That the culture is in rest of India. I'm from South India, and we don't fall flat like so often, touch the feet only once in a while. But here in Bengal, it's very much that, okay, if you want to seek forgiveness, just don't say sorry, just show it by actions. So that's correct. So respect, culture, all of that was there. So now the point is that now this was just a story I narrated, and very easily you picked up so many things from that. So that is the idea, that stories are really powerful. So yes, and that's how we can train anyone actually, not just children. It can be even for, now we are all adults, but still we learned something interesting from the story. So similarly, what to speak of children, they are clays, as we say. It's like a clay, and we can model them as we want. So stories can take you beyond the world what we are living in and take you somewhere else altogether. It can describe various prehistoric events and things like that. So Bhagwat Geeta, that was one of the topics for me. Bhagwat Geeta. Bhagwat Geeta itself is it's actually my M.Ed dissertation. We can say it's a subject of my research, and I'm working on pulling out scientific principles from the Bhagwat Geeta and applying it to modern educational leadership and management. So yeah, in the previous slide, one more thing I had was that there was a grandmother there. I think many of us have that experience of, at least we are lucky, some of us, to have our grandmothers tell stories to us. So it is something really interesting we had in our childhood, most of us. And grandmothers, they have great love for the grandchildren, and they share stories. And I definitely remember many, and I hope many of you also have very sweet memories of your grandmother telling stories, and we pick up things from that. So going further, yes. So this wisdom literature, which is Bhagwat Geeta, it is not some religious text. It is actually a text for the whole mankind, and it can guide us in all our daily activities. As Dr. Graham was testimony, you can see that. So going further, yes, in 2015 in Pune, I was joining Tata previous, and in one of those in one of their onboarding sessions, there was a senior leader from Tata Power. His name was AJ Engineer. So he was a retired head of the Tata Power. He came and addressed the assembly of 300 of us who were joining the Tata group, and then he told that there are 5 Tata values, and that's why the whole Tata group has grown for last 150 years. And actually, he said that all of those are spiritual values. So those spiritual values are what Indians have been growing up with. And previous slide. So Dr. Graham, who was our chief guest, actually he met this old man. You see, he's climbing up a ship. Actually, it's cargo ship. He boarded that ship right here from Kolkata in 1965. He boarded it, and after 1 month, he reached Boston Harbor. And then he wanted to share this wisdom from India all over the world. And therefore, I would call him as a spiritual ambassador of India to the whole world. And you can see there in the photo below that he's talking with Professor Durkheim of Germany. And therefore, he went all over the world, met many eminent personalities. And our Dr. Graham, who was there, he met here, this Srila Prabhupada. He's an Indian old man from Kolkata. He was 70 years when he went there. When Dr. Graham met him, Dr. Graham was just over 21, and now he's over 70. And he is just one of his students. So therefore, he has many thousands of students all over the world. And now they are actually, we can say, promoting Indian culture all over the world. You can go to Russia, you can go to Japan, you can go to America, you can go to England, South Africa, Australia, anywhere you go, you have people who have valued Indian spiritual values and ethics. Coming to the last part, that is, we have diamonds in our own house. That is what we have, our own spiritual ethics, values, culture. So we have to just pick up those diamonds. We don't know the value. So, but now since we realize it, we can wear that in our decorate ourselves with some diamonds, and then share that diamonds with the rest of the world. So that is my small message to all of you. And let us all stay connected. And I really thank the Google Neo Assistant, the app team, and all of you educators. We are coming together on a nice mission, and let us be together all the time and be happy in our life, and share that happiness with all over the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Venkatesh. For everyone else who couldn't connect it, Dr. Graham, who Venkatesh was talking about, is the same person who we had as the chief guest today. I'm right, Venkatesh?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah, so we had the opportunity to hear from Dr. Graham directly, and thanks to Venkatesh for making that referral and helping me connect with him to invite him for this session. And yes, like from your part, I think two things that we can pick up is storytelling, a very, very powerful way of imbibing these kind of values, like, the ethical values and the spiritual values. And earlier, our grandmoms in joint family, the grandmoms or grandfathers, they used to imbibe it. But today, we are moving in a world where the families are more nuclear. And to bridge, this gap, we have also kind of worked in this storytelling format, wherein for every student, the characters of the story are such that the student can resonate to. So in all our stories, if you would see that there is a best friend, there is a teacher, there is a mom, there is a father, and the story unfolds. And that's how all the topics, the 21st century life skills that we saw, the 1400 skills that I showed in the Excel, that is how these skills are delivered. I will quickly take just 2 minutes to share how the final experience is for the students. So as you can see on your screen, this is how the student goes and opens the story. And there's a case, and then there are questions after that. And the student can mark the questions after reading the case. They get the correct answer and explanation as well. If they get something wrong, they get it then and there. So here the emphasis is more on learning and not so much on assessing the student. So this, with the help of a story format, like again, as you can see, I will just wait here and I'll read out a little paragraph, just 2 minutes, okay? So here you can see, just then Addie bounced over, full of energy as usual. What are you guys up to? Another selfie, Arav? He teased. Zara rolled her eyes. Miss Rosie was just teaching about digital footprints. Did you know every post leaves a trace? Addie's eyes widened. Even my dance videos, they all laughed. Suddenly, Sid, the class topper, joined them. So the context is about cyber safety, cyber security, that how you should use your devices, how the passwords should be, what you should post on internet, what you should not post on internet, what is digital footprint. So all of that is taught in this story format, right? And we have found that this method is very, very powerful, especially when the characters are such that the students can resonate to. So although I wanted to show a little more of this, but then because we are running out of time, I will skip this part, and maybe for those who are interested in knowing more, we can connect later after the session. If there are educators who want to kind of try out how they can explore this new AI or new assistant tool, they can scan this QR code. And those who are waiting for the feedback form, it will take me a while to share that. So you can instead join this WhatsApp group, and I will be sharing the feedback form as well there. I will also share the link here in the chat for those who do not have a scanner handy.